All right. Well, it's Wednesday again, so we're going to be doing another Better For It conversation. And today we're actually taking a slight deviation from what we've done in the past few weeks. And we're going to just focus on the Sunday services. So we've got this last Sunday, we did a service outside. And as you'll see here in a little bit with Pastor Rob, he's sitting out at the church right now in the same spot where we had our service. But we're going to focus a little bit on some of the questions that we got from the survey that was sent out. We're going to talk a little bit about the behind the scenes, like why this decision really came up, some of the thoughts behind how to make it work, how to actually make this a successful sort of event for us moving forward, and taking advantage of, the rules that we've got during COVID times, the pandemic, but also, wanting to get together and making this an event, making our church services an opportunity where people can come and congregate safely and do it within the structure that has been set for us. So today on the call, we got Pastor Rob. And you want to say hi, Pastor Rob, so your screen shows up here?
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm sitting out in front of the church where I'm actually on the platform where the stage will be, and I'm going to show you some views here in just a second. But thanks for joining us today. I hope I can answer your questions and anything else. I'm excited about getting together.
Yeah, so let's start with just a couple of questions, right? So I think we're going to start with just what happened. Why are we doing this, right? So I think that's probably the biggest question as to what's going on with moving to the outside service method. But then give us some thoughts from your side, Pastor, like what is it that's in your heart, what's on your mind in terms of doing this, and why it matters that we move to this sort of mode for us for church services?
Yeah, thanks, Josh. And man, church, I pray you'll lean in here. I did an update message about outdoor church on Sunday, and you can go watch it on YouTube and Facebook. But I'm actually out here. It's 10 o'clock. We're recording this at 10 o'clock. So that you'll get a view of what it will look like on Sundays when we're doing this. The temperature is 70 degrees. Come on now, living in Southern California. But man, I'm excited and at the same time, just feel compelled to do whatever we can to try to get people back together. That I want to initiate the go in attending church again. Man, I want to start the conversation. Just last night in a small group, outdoor small group, I was talking to Marlene and Bernice about kids' life and how do we get people together? How do we get our kids together, and how do we make that happen? So starting that conversation, growth groups. I do an outdoor group in the parking lot behind my house, because man, it's so awesome to get people together. And I realize the longer this pandemic goes on and the longer people are isolated, man, spiritual disconnections and emotional isolation and all of the psychological problems that form because of that are going to start to show up in people's lives. And man, how do we combat that while at the same time being wise? Like, it's not that we have to go forget your physical safety so that we can focus on your spiritual condition. We can do both at the same time. And so that's kind of what this conversation is all about. I started a college group that meets in my backyard on Wednesday nights at 7, getting kids together and talking about where they're at and what they're going through. And man, we live in Southern California, and if there is ever a place that we could do outdoor activities and groups and do church outdoors, it's in Southern California. And so, man, I'm excited about this idea of just taking things outdoors. We did church, we did a worship set outdoors last Sunday. And Josh, what'd you think about that?
I had to get myself off of mute here real quick. So I loved it. I think it was really cool to have, the music together again, right? There's something about actually playing together, worshiping together that leads to a very different experience. And we had some people that were sitting out there on the grass. I know, Pastor, you were running back and forth into the church and stuff, but I think generally the feel of having not just an audience, but having people to participate in the worship with is extremely important. As a musician, as a singer, as someone who's on the platform, like there's something really powerful about that. And then the fact that we were able to do it outside was actually really cool. Like the feeling of we're out in the community in some way, right? We're out there, able to see people passing by. We had a couple people walking their dog by, and they stopped for a second, and they were able to, you know, sit and listen to the music just a little bit while we were practicing. And it was cool to just see that they were able to hear a little bit of us, even if they weren't going to come into the church service or come and be a part of it, right? This could be a really good opportunity for us. And the other part to it, like what you said, Pastor, the fact that we're in Southern California, that we can take advantage of really good weather and have the space for it, I think that's like, it's a win-win-win across the board. And you're on mute, by the way.
Thank you. You know, I'm going to show them some views here, Josh. I'm going to walk around. So, so I'm walking from the platform. I'm walking straight out. And so if you were sitting on the concrete, the sidewalk in front of the church, this is what your view will be. If you were sitting right there, as you go towards the front doors of our sanctuary, right, you'll see on the grass, you can actually see the shade that is still there from the tree. And it's, you know, it's probably 10, 15, something like that right now. So you can see there's still a little bit of shade under this tree. The sun is popping up over on the left side of the building. But this is the view. You know, I'm walking over to the front of the church. This is actually the walkway as you walk into the front of our church building. But people could sit over here, and you see that tree. So we do have obstructed view that we will charge you less to sit there because it's an obstructed view. But you can see the band. Hopefully you can see my chair and the platform over there. But I think I listed it. There's 140 feet of grass that people can sit on. There's the sidewalk area. We can get about 15 families on the grass. We can get about 10 on the sidewalk area. We can park about 10 cars. I'm walking over to the other side here, which is the back entrance to our church facility. Spot here, and you could sit here and feel like you're in Mammoth watching church. All the way over, if people wanted to get a suntan while they're in church, this is actually the back of the parking lot here, which is a little bit obstructed. And then one more view that I want to give you guys. If you're really concerned about social distancing and you know, for whatever reasons, underlying conditions, there are some spots across the street that are elevated that you could park your car. You could pull out some chairs and sit in your car. I'm actually walking over to them right now. There's actually some parking spots right here. You can see the parking spots there, and you can see the view, which is not too bad. And it's across the street. It's safely distanced. If you look across the way from me here, there's a gray car parked right there that you could park, and there's probably about room for 7 or 8 cars and people to park out there. And then, in addition to that, if you wanted to get your chairs out, there's an elevated spot right here. You can see there's a walkway across from our church, and you can see the view from here that people could sit here as well. So, you know, we got room for a lot of people and a lot of different situations, staying in your car, sitting outdoor, really far away on the grass with a blanket, sitting on the concrete with some chairs. There's a lot of opportunities and a lot of ways for people to come and go to church and do a lot of exciting things. So
Now,
Hopefully those views helped you.
yeah, and let's talk a little bit about some of the logistics, right? So I think we recognize, and I've said it every time we get on these calls, right? There's no protocol, there's no rule book, there's no set expectations of what you're supposed to do during COVID time. So we're kind of building this out like on the fly. We're figuring it out as we go. There is no expectation that this is going to be church as normal. And I think everyone coming to these services, everyone coming to the church property should expect that, right? There is no normal. We're not, following some sort of guideline. We're kind of creating it as we go. So there are going to be things that are inefficient. There are going to be some things that are imperfect, but the goals that are set here of trying to get together, making sure that we're interacting and engaging with each other, that we have a place to go, and we're actually doing like what you said, Pastor, going to church. I think those goals are actually very worthwhile in themselves, and we'll get better as we go along. As we do this more regularly, it's going to get better. But let's talk a little bit about some of the logistics, right? So you mentioned there's 140 feet of grass. I think there's plenty of spaces on the sidewalk. One of the things that we are talking about is bringing pop-up tents. If you have them, bringing lawn chairs, bringing blankets. I know, Pastor, you had some ideas about spacing and marking off spaces for people on the grass. You want to talk a little bit about some of those things?
Yeah, okay. So on the grass area, what we're going to do is to provide visible, safe distancing. We're going to get the paint that you can mark right on the grass, and so it'll delineate spots for families to set up their chair or their blanket in on the grass. On the concrete as well, we'll have some markings to safely distance people. And so when you come, there'll be like visible boxes for you to set up in, or to seat your family in, or to join us for church in via paint on the grass or markings on the concrete area. We do need the pop-up tents. Josh mentioned that. We have 4 here at the church. I started talking, Joe Soriol has a 10 by 21. Josh Zamora has one. Pat and Bernice, I don't know how we feel about this, but they have a Raider tent. So, if you're a Raider fan, we have a special section that'll be there for you. But we need about we need upwards of 12 to 15 pop-up tents, so that, we are shading every possible area of the viewing angle. So, like I said, it looks like we're already up to like 8. If there are 4 other people that could bring a pop-up tent and set it up, come a little bit early, that would be great. But there will be boxes, once again, to answer your question and reiterate it. There will be delineated spaces for you to sit in on the grass and on the concrete. If you stay in your car, of course, that'll be your own space in your car.
Yeah, and I think that probably segues nicely into how many people we actually can seat safely. So I know that we've gotten some good responses of people that want to participate, but maybe we can give kind of a general estimate of counts. Like, what are we talking about in terms of people sitting on the grass or on the concrete or sitting in their cars? What's that number look like, Pastor?
Okay, yeah, good. So it looks like on the grass, we can get 15, maybe a little bit more depending on how many are in the family groups, but we can get 15 family units on the grass. We can get 10 family units on the concrete, which is the sidewalk area in front of the church. And then we can park 10 cars in front of the church. And like I mentioned, if there are some that want to park across the street, we can get about 7 over there. And let me just say this too. So far from the survey, I've gotten 40 responses. Of them, 30 said that they are excited about coming. 10 for underlying conditions or other reasons are going to continue to watch online, and we will still be doing online church and the video and all of that as well. So it looks like so far from that number, there are probably, based on the past surveys, there are probably 30 or 40 more responses. You can hear one of the difficulties that might happen is the trash truck came by as I was talking right there. But yeah, if you haven't filled out that survey to let us know where you're at, like I'm interested in coming, I have questions, whatever they are, please go. I send it out in an email and a text. If you need it, just comment on the feed right here, and I'll make sure that I get it out to you so that you can fill that out, because it's important that we get the information for how many to expect. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, that's good. And maybe again, so as far as logistics are concerned, right? So this obviously is going to require some setup. It's going to require some preparation and making sure that people get there in time. There's the requirements of like we're you know what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. But let's start with just the setup, right? So where do we need help so that this can be set up correctly? We already talked about getting pop-up tents, but like, how about the actual setup itself?
Okay, yeah. So we're going to need help with the setting up of the tents, and we're going to need help with putting out some chairs. We are going to put some chairs so that people, if they don't bring a lawn chair or whatever, we have like 40 chairs that we can bring out, but we need to have them ready to take out. And then we need to take down the tents as well. So we need people to come early, right around that 9:15 to 9:30. And we need people to stay after so that we can help tear down all the pop-up tents and put away all of the chairs. And we also will need some ushering help. And we do have ushers in our church and greeters that we're going to need to monitor to make sure that the amount of people in the restrooms, that we don't exceed the amount, that we're conscientious of that, how many people are going into the building to use the restrooms, and making sure that we're staying safe there. So we're going to need a few people to help us keep track of that and monitor that as church goes on. So if you're interested in being a part of any of that, just send me a text or an email or comment here on the feed. And like Josh said, as we get this going, because there's no protocol, we're figuring it out as we go here. Some of the teams that already manage some of these areas of our church while it was indoors will re-engage, and ushers and greeters and people that can walk around and make sure that we're staying safe. We're going to need to re-engage those teams again, and get people that were already serving in them to start serving again on Sundays, and help us to do this efficiently and effectively and safely, and in a way that gives glory to God.
The last thing, or one of the last couple things, I guess, with regards to that, right? So keeping safe is going to be a priority. I know that everyone is getting really used to when you go to restaurants, or when you go to stores, or when you go wherever, and you're doing your normal life sort of thing, you're going to be wearing masks. You're not touching people. You're not like interacting closely. We're keeping the safe distancing things going on. What are some of the ones that we're going to actually enforce and kind of be looking for here at the church?
Yeah. So, like we said, we're just trying to do this as safely and not only trying to follow guidelines, but we're actually trying to keep all of us safe at the same time. And so we just want to be conscientious to make sure that we don't want to create any distractions or reasons that people would feel unsafe to come. And so in regards to that conversation, of course, with your own family members, you can sit together and, the interactions are definitely different there. But when it comes to other families, we definitely want to focus on, we just want to see each other. We want to do church together and see each other and be able to hear each other. The physical part, we're going to have to hold on to that. So we're going to be asking that really no physical contact. We're going to ask that as you get out of your cars and you begin to set up, because of the spacing that we have here, once you get to your seat, the spacing will be great. But while you're getting to your seat, the spacing may not be as within that 6-foot guidelines. You may have to pass somebody. So we are asking that you wear mask as you make your way to the locations. Once you get there, and get into your seat and or on the grass or wherever it is that you can take off your mask, like in a restaurant. But we definitely, like I said, man, we want to make sure that everybody feels safe and everybody knows that they can come, and regardless of where you are on the spectrum, that you're not going to have to worry about that in coming to church. We want to do church together. We want to see each other, and those are the things we're going to focus on.
Yeah, and I think there's an important factor in this, right? It's not about what we can't do. It's what are we able to do? What are we going to do? And I think this is where we shift our mindset a little bit and really start focusing on the things that we can do. We can gather together. We can worship together. We can worship and sing. Like, there's goodness to this event and to this shift that we're taking. That it's not just about like, what are we not allowed to do, or what can't we do? So keep that in mind as you're coming. Again, I do want to reiterate the fact that it's not going to be perfect. We're not going to get this right the first time. This is it's a progression. It's a process that we're going through. And then the other thing to that is the fact that as we're going week over week, like, this is an opportunity to potentially invite other people to come back in and to have, a slightly different experience at church than maybe you've had in the past. So
Right.
It's awesome. I love the fact that we're doing this. It's a really cool way for us to reconnect, and then we'll move forward from there. I know that there were some interesting questions and some comments that were left in the survey, Pastor. Do you want to cover any of those or highlight those?
Yeah. So somebody, and I did this on purpose, that all your comments are anonymous, so I don't know who put what. But somebody did mention wanting to bring squirt guns and have a water gun fight. We probably don't want to do that, but that is funny. I like that. Somebody asked about kids' life and what sort of social distancing and physical safety measures does Kids Life have in mind? When it comes to our children's programming, we are working towards the conversation of getting some sort of activity back together. And this is definitely in conjunction with our kids going back to school. And, I know some are at home and all of that. But that won't be this Sunday. That will be later in August as we begin to really gather information. How do we get the volunteer help that we needed to make sure that we are keeping our children safe? And all of this is going to be outdoors. All of this is going to happen in different locations. And as we started walking around the church area here, we started realizing, while there are little spots and little picnic areas and little shaded spots throughout the property that are right around our church, that oftentimes, because we're going into church, most people don't even know they exist. So we've started to look at those, talk to Bernice and Marlene and some of the Kids Life team. And so those requirements and how we're going to do that will be coming shortly. So let me just say it again for those of you with families. This Sunday, we just want to do church together. And in a few weeks, we're going to start integrating activities for Kids Life. And so I'll get you more information on that. Somebody said, Josh, any comments on that?
No, I think that's good. I think, we're going to, like you said it, right? And I keep reiterating it. This is a process. It's not an event. We're going to get better as we go along, and that will include stuff for kids. So for those of you that have small children, I totally hear you. If you can't make it this Sunday, we're still going to have the streaming online. There's not going to be any drop in that experience. So still watch online, still participate from home. As we progress, then there'll be more opportunities for bringing kids on premises.
Yeah. So then the next one was somebody asked the question of that they said it depends on distancing and if people are wearing masks. And I really, I just want to lean in to that conversation. I was so glad that somebody mentioned this because, man, like I said, our goal is to try to get people back together. And wherever you're at, if you need more distancing, man, we're going to meet you at the point of where you're at. And so if you need distancing, if you want to wear a mask, if you need to be further away to make sure that there is no possibility, forget 6 feet. If you need 12 feet, if you need 18 feet, if you need 20 feet, like there are spaces and there are places that you can be that can accommodate that. Like I said, I just want us to do church together, hear it together, and I want us to be able to see people. The physical contact and all of that, man, we're not even discussing that. We're just like, how do we get families to sit in a safe place? How do we get individuals so that we can see one another and say hi to one another and see one another? So if distancing is something important to you when you come, there'll be people here. It'll probably be me here this Sunday, and this is where we need people, ushers and greeters that can help to tell people where to go and where to sit based on where they're feeling they need to feel safe during that process. So, a couple things. If you need distancing, we'll have that. If you'd like to volunteer to be a part of just a greeter and usher, man, that would be great as well. Josh, any comments on that?
No, I think we're good. We set the expectations of mask wearing to and from, so I think we're good.
Okay.
Just keep that in mind as we're sitting everyone down. That's the goals that we're setting.
Somebody asked the question about it being hot. It said, because it's been so hot, would you consider having services earlier in the morning? And so, that's why I'm out here today. It's, what is it? It's 10:33, and you can still see that there is shaded spots. The temperature, it doesn't feel like it changed, but it's probably low 70s right now. I don't know if you have that, Josh, the temperature. I guess I'm here, so let me.
So nurse always asks me for the weather when I'm at home too. So
yep.
I'm her.
You know what? I'm
weather
currently here at the church. I'm currently here, and it's 73 degrees. 73 degrees right now. So you know what? It's actually real, and I think the temperature today is what it's going to be on Sunday. We'll keep watching that. In the shade, last Sunday was hot. Josh, you were doing worship in the shade. How was it in the shade for you?
It was actually fine. We I don't think I felt any heat until after we left the church. Just because of the way that the building is set up and the trees and everything, we sit in a nice little valley right there on the stage. I think the only people that might get some sun are the ones that are going to be up on the concrete, but that's why the tents are going to be that much more valuable. So I wouldn't be too worried about temperature wise, unless like we have some really massive heat wave that's going to really hurt everybody. But I think we're going to be okay for Sunday mornings.
Yeah. And so we'll keep an eye on that. Somebody asked the question that, let's see, they said, how's the outside audio going to be done? Meaning how far away can they sit? The sound was amazing on Sunday, and they are going to set up a system with speakers that will project the sound out. And so, like I said, I think even sitting across the street, you'll still be able to hear fine. Just as Josh keeps mentioning, because of it's kind of like an amphitheater bowl setting with the building behind that the sound all is projected out forward. So like, it's really amazing. The sound is great. And I think, being across the street, I tried to walk around on Sunday. Maybe you saw my reflection in the window. Yeah, we're working on that as well to block that. But the sound is going to be great no matter how far away that you are. And the same person asked, will there be a way to indicate preference to keep physical distancing? You know what, if you just let me know, your name, like I said, I don't know who asked this question. So whoever, if physical distancing is something that's important to you, please text me, and we may probably need to assign somebody that will be in charge of this going forward. But yeah, man, let me know, and we can find you the spot that is safest for you. How will contact tracking be managed, they asked, in case something happens. That's why I send out the surveys of how you will attend church. And then I ask you your name on those surveys when I send them out. And it's for this purpose right here, so that we can know who was at church, and so that if anything were to happen, we would have the information to let people know that we're maybe in the vicinity of what that happened.
And if I can add something to that, Pastor, I think there's probably an easy way of doing this, in that there is a minimum expectation of the fact that we're going through all this. It's not unique to our church. It's not unique to what we're going to be doing here on Sunday. Everywhere you go has a 6-foot minimum expectation. The restaurants, those grocery stores, that's Home Depot, whatever. Now, do they do it perfectly? Absolutely not. But the expectation is still set there. So I think it's probably safe for us to assume that that's going to be our minimum when we go into places. I think for the sake of preferring, if we're going to turn this into a spiritual discussion at all, right? If you're preferring your brother, if you're being preferential to your church members, right? It's a good assumption to come in and say, look, I'm going to honor everyone else's space for the sake of personal safety here. And it doesn't have to be a political statement. It doesn't have to be we're not trying to make a statement as a church. We're not trying to make a statement as a group of people that, we're going to go against these rules or laws or anything like that. We're going to favor what it takes to get together and do it safely. So this is where I think we can come in with a basic assumption. The people that are going to be kind of monitoring this sort of stuff are not there to be enforcers. They're not going to be carrying around a stick and beating people that are too close. It's more just along the lines of we may need to have some sort of soft reminders on this sort of stuff. So I think, Pastor, you and I are probably on the same page. We don't want anyone to feel like we've got, the distance walking around the church at all. This is assuming the best out of everybody for this sort of environment.
Yeah. And I do, I'm really trying to encourage, as like the King James said, and Paul in Romans chapter 12, he said, I beseech you, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. And man, I'm pleading with you, man. I'd love to see your bodies in church. And like Josh said, man, the distancing, we're outdoors. It's going to be great. We're not looking to belittle or be harsh or condemn, or man, it's going to be a safe, awesome outdoor experience. And man, I know we got to get back together somehow, some way. We got to figure out how to break through just all the negative impacts that COVID-19 is causing us as a church and as people in general. So yeah, man, come on, let's get our bodies together. Let's have church. Another question is, somebody asked, can we sing? And the answer is yes, we are going to be singing together. This is the benefit of being outdoors, that we don't have, and the distancing requirements, that, things are much more safe outdoors. And it seems like all of the county guidelines and a lot of guidelines, especially in the state of California, are pushing everything outdoors. They're trying to say, hey, let's figure out how to do whatever it is outdoors. That seems to be the new approach that they're taking. And church is no different to that. And like I said, we live in Southern California. So, man, it's going to be awesome. And we're going to sing. We're going to pray. As Josh said, there were people that were walking their dogs and stopping and listening to the worship. And you can bring your friends. Man, it's going to be another opportunity to go like, hey, join us for church outdoors. And then lastly, I think somebody asked, are we going to broadcast the services over the radio if they stayed in their cars? And so, as Josh said, we're not there yet. it is possible for us to do it. And Josh Zamora has already looked at how to do that. For this Sunday, we won't have that in place. We are going to start with, we think you'll be able to hear based on just the sound system. If in the future we have a group of people that prefer to do it that way, yeah, we do know the things that we would need to buy to set that in place. So no, it won't be broadcast over the radio this Sunday, but we could do it in the future if it's needed. So that's all the questions that I got. If anybody has some online, you feel free to post them.
Yeah, we can respond as needed.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, I think that covers all the stuff that we were planning on covering for this. I know that I'm personally really excited about getting there on Sunday and actually seeing everyone or seeing whoever can join us. Reiterating the fact that we are going to keep the stream going, right? So on Facebook and on YouTube, so you shouldn't worry about that part of it. But if you can make it and you can participate in these outside services, it's going to be great. It's going to be really good to see everyone, and looking forward to it. Thank you, Pastor. Anything else that we should talk about?
No. Thank you guys, man. I'm looking forward to you guys filling out the survey. If you haven't already, just let me know where you're at, any questions you have, and then, man, come on, bring your families. Let's all start getting dressed again. Like I said, you may want to wear shorts this Sunday, which is a little different for those of us that come from our old Sunday best roots. But man, bring your lawn chair and put your shorts on and t-shirts, and man, we'll see you at church on Sunday. We love you guys, and I'm excited about this. Thank you, Josh, for moderating this, and it's gonna be awesome.
It'll be good. All right. We'll see everyone. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.